So why would you want to factor a quadratic function in the first place? Well, if you remember, a quadratic function makes a parabola shape on a graph. And factoring a quadratic function makes it really easy to see where a parabola would cross the x-axis on a graph. In other words, it finds the zeros of a quadratic function. So let's review how to take a quadratic function and put it into factored form. I have your run-of-the-mill quadratic function that looks like this. Y equals x squared, the middle term is minus 9x, and the third term is plus 18. So this is a quadratic function in standard form, and it's nice, but the problem is I can't really see where this parabola would cross the x-axis on a graph. So to do that, we got to put it into factored form. So let's go to step 1. Product and sum. Product means multiplication and sum means addition. We need to do a little bit of investigating of this equation. We need to come up with two numbers whose product or multiplication makes 18. So two numbers that multiply to make 18. Also, those two numbers have to sum or add to make this number. So the first thing we'll do is show that by saying P, or the product, has to be equal to this last term, which is an 18. And the sum of the two numbers we choose has to equal the middle term, which is negative 9. Don't forget the sign in front of the number. So, okay, two numbers that multiply to make a positive 18, and those numbers also add together to make negative 9. Well, let's think about this. The numbers that I can think of that multiply to make 18, well, there's 1 times 18. That'll make an 18, but there's no way I could make those two numbers make negative 9, so that's no good. Let's get rid of that. What else makes 18? Well, I could choose a combination of 9 and 2. That will make an 18. But again, there's no way I could take these two numbers and make negative 9, so let's forget that. How about 6 and 3? That'll make an 18 if I multiply them. And I bet there's also a way I could make these two numbers become negative 9. Okay, we're getting closer here. What if I did negative 6 times negative 3? They multiply to give me an 18. And if I do negative 6 plus negative 3, well, that's going to give me a negative 9. So those are the two numbers I want, negative 6 and negative 3. And now that I know I'm going to choose negative 6 and negative 3, I can move on to step 2, where I just write them into the equation in factored form. Now that I've got my two magic numbers figured out, I can just rewrite the equation in factored form, which looks like this. Y equals, I'm going to have two brackets where I just throw in the numbers that I've found. X, and then there's the minus 6, and it's multiplied by another bracket, x minus 3, which was the other number I found. And there, I have my equation in factored form. So notice the difference between standard form at the top and my new factored form. And let's quickly review our steps. The first thing we need to do is figure out our product and sum. The product is the final term at the end of the equation, plus 18. The sum is the middle term, which was negative 9. Then we have to come up with two numbers that will multiply to make the 18, and those two numbers also have to add to make negative 9. And we did some investigating, and we came up with negative 6 and negative 3. They match perfectly. Then in step 2, we just put negative 6 and negative 3 in brackets like you see here. How about you give it a try now? Here's your quadratic equation in standard form, and let's see if you can convert it to factored form using the steps I've showed you on the left. So try that one now. Your equation in factored form is y equals x plus 4 times x plus 3.